Welcome, everyone, to another fabulous episode of the Infinite Star Connections. We are your hosts. My name is Vivian Chauvette and my friend Jeff Demers. We are both cosmic ambassador for our amazing interstellar group consciousness, respectively the Octurans and the Ponti. But today we're very blessed. We have a beautiful, very genuine, very talented guests, and we want to bring more energy for our guests today. So we're welcoming everyone who's joining us in the chat room. Gina, welcome, and everyone who will be joining us today. So we only have two shows left before the end of 2020. So let's take advantage of every moment we have. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest today, Eddie.
Hi.
Enokian. What a beautiful name. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure being on today.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Eddie, I'd like to introduce you properly
Yes.
to the bio that Jeff gave me. So for our listener to going to discover you. So Eddie is a holistic massage therapist and a Reiki master.
Yeah.
He is graduate of Spa Tech Institute School of Massage Polarity Aesthetics in Plymouth.
Plymouth. Yeah.
Plymouth, perfect. Eddie is a licensed massage therapist as well as being trained in polarity, which was developed by Dr. Randolph Stone in the mid 20th century. Polarity balances the client's energy by holding a series of polarized contact throughout the body. And it does wonder, polarity. I love it.
Oh yes.
Energy healing came naturally to Eddie, and he began his journey into using energy to heal people for over 20 years, which that's impressive.
Yes.
His interest to honing his natural ability began in 2011 when he received his first Reiki attunement. Eddie then began to study shamanic and indigenous healing techniques from his mentor. He received his Reiki Master attunement in 2016 through Eddie's unique styles of energy healing and his intuitive therapeutic massage, clients are left feeling relaxed and also invigorated, energized. Energy
Yes.
work can help the mind, body, and soul to feel in balance. And we can go on like this, but let's just have this talk. That's
Yeah.
amazing that for the last 20 years, that connection with energy, intuitive. What motivated you to help people? What brought you
Yeah.
to this in the first place, if I may ask?
Yeah. So it all started pretty much. I think I was 4 years old, and my grandfather, who passed when my mother was 7, came to me in spirit and kind of gave me the message that I'm gifted. I'm here for a purpose. And then I started getting past life reminiscences of me not being from here, and was told I'm here to save my mother's life and I'm part of a big project. And I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So first of all, I wasn't even supposed to believe in this stuff. And it's all supposed to be demonic and negative thoughts if any spirits come into you. But so it was tough to like grasp it all from the religion that I was in. But at 9 years old, I went. I was living on Nantucket with my mother in the summers, and I took her out one night, and I had to tell her. I was like, "Mom, I really have to tell you something. I remember my past life, and I wasn't here, and I had wings, and I'm part of a big project here on Earth, and I'm gonna save your life someday." And she kind of, was taken back by a little bit, and because I mean we still had the Jehovah's Witness thinking, but little did I know before that though, my mom was actually abducted on her honeymoon, and
Oh,
in the White Mountains. So everything all started to make relevance and everything. So we'll get back to the story though. I told her I was gonna save her life, and then 10 years go by, and my mom got acute respiratory distress syndrome. It's kind of like the SARS virus that is going on in China, and similar to COVID experiences where there was a large inflammation in the lungs, and I she flatlined 3 times in Wareham, Massachusetts, at Toby Hospital, and I was living in Norwood at the time. So she got med flight, not med flighted because it was a storm. She got the emergency transport station. Ambulance came and brought him to Boston, and she was at New England Medical Center. It's now Tufts. She was in a coma for 9 days, I believe, and we just couldn't get the fluid out of her lungs. They pumped so much medicine into her and everything. And I was like, I was 19, and I said, all right, this is my calling. Like, I never once thought she was going to die, but the survival rate for that is actually really slim. So I went in the room one day and I said, all right, Mom, I don't know what's going to happen, but by the time I walk out of this room, you're going to be all better, which was a pretty bold statement to make since she was all hooked up on life support, and she didn't even look like my mom. She was so swollen with all medicine and everything. And I just had all of a sudden just had the urge to put my hands on her chest, and it felt like I got electrocuted, went through the top of my head, down my arms, into through my fingers and into her, and all the machines start spiking. And I just felt so disoriented. I didn't know what the heck just happened because I never even got into energy work before. It's just I just let it go and just let whatever had to happen happen. And that night, I started coughing up all this phlegmy stuff. It looked like it wasn't mucus; it was like a fluffy white stuff. And my mom was sitting up in the chair that night, all better.
How
So that
long
was,
did it how long did it take you to do that process?
it was in the afternoon. I would say had to have been maybe around 3 in the afternoon. And by 6 in the evening, I was coughing up all this phlegmy stuff. And by midnight, my mom was fully healed. So,
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
doctors had no explanation on what happened. I mean, she was still had to learn how to walk and write again from being in the coma for 9 days, but the disease was out of her system. So that was my first time of understanding what energy work was, and it left me really confused afterwards and actually depressed. I thought, all right, I did my mission. Can I go now? I wanted to go back to where I was. I wanted to just fly away after that because it was confusing for me.
Did
But
you hear anything prior to that event? Like, I have to do this, I have to go there.
I just knew I knew she wasn't gonna die, and I just went with intuition, and like intuition is really strong with me. So I usually can see things before it happens on stuff, and just like I just knew she wasn't gonna die, and I woke up one day and was like, oh, this is the day I'm gonna heal my mom, and
Wow.
I just went in there and did my thing, and she was better, and yeah, she's doing well still. So that's how it all started. But just backdrop onto my parents on who I am. It was on in 1979 they got married, and they went up to the White Mountain Cabins in Lincoln, New Hampshire, which is also a pretty famous area for an abduction. Was it Barney?
Betty and Barney Hill, yep.
Yep, the same area.
Right.
So the night they went there, they did just saw like cars and stuff, but they didn't really see people. And my parents said they heard a lot of weird noises, like a wooing noise that night around the cabin. And my dad thought it might have been like wind coming down the chimney or a stream or something, and couldn't figure out where this noise was coming from. So they went to bed that morning. They wake up and they had a quick bite to eat or whatever. And they went back in the bedroom because it was a honeymoon, and they didn't they didn't wake up again until that night. It was 12 hours later, and they didn't realize it. They woke up both feeling disoriented, and my mom was like so confused because usually she'll get up to go to the bathroom or something. Like she won't let a whole day disappear like that, or my father. And so they both felt out of it, and they look out the window and realize it's dark out when they last remember it being light out. So they were really getting freaked out. They step outside, and above the cabin they saw this UFO type of thing with flashing lights fly on top of their cabin, just whiz off and disappear. And it freaked them out big time. They they drove straight to a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall and prayed about it because they didn't know what to do, and they never really told anyone because of the upbringing that we had, that we weren't supposed to talk about stuff like that and just to dismiss it all. So it was a pretty wild experience. But,
So that could have been the start of you.
yes. So when right after that, my mom was pregnant, but she had a miscarriage. And the exact words out of the doctor's mouth was, "I don't know what's in you, but whatever is in you has to come out." And
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and then it was almost exactly a year later I was born. So she got pregnant again, and I was born in November on the 29th. So it was around the same time that it was just 1 year later in 1980. And yeah, and my mother is a redhead with green eyes, and I researched from Dr. Jacobs. He studies abductees and everything, and most women are redheads with green eyes that end up having hybrid children. So everything started like little by little making sense on who I was and where my gift came from. And then my most profound moment to really understand who I was came in 2014, September 23rd. I was working at a place called the Home for Little Wanderers. And I've done everything, by the way, for careers and jobs. I've been in Hollywood. Been on billboards, magazines. I used to model for Nautica. I've done high-rise window cleaning, gourmet chef, worked for Homeland Security. I've done it all. But so this was at the Home for Little Wanderers, and I was a building maintenance guy. And I was just in an empty cabin, cleaning it out, shampooing the carpets, not thinking about anything. And all of a sudden, I get like felt like an emergency broadcast. It was around 10 in the morning, and like it was telepathic, and it just like stopped me dead in my tracks. So I had to turn off the vacuum, and it just was like a sense of knowing, and it identified themselves as just it was an intelligent source. It didn't give me a name. It was so bizarre, and it started showing me like a slideshow of history through like mankind, and they like all these images like projections of, like Egypt time, and it kept on going with these slides, and like just it felt like I was getting like download like something from the Matrix. And I tried to communicate with it, and I couldn't. I could only listen. And so I immediately called my shaman up, my mentor Grace, and I was like, "Grace, I'm getting this crazy message right now, and I can't communicate with it." And so she's like, "Well, you should probably just write it down." But I was in the middle of an empty cabin, and I didn't want to leave, so I just tried to take it all in without breaking anything. So I then called my mother up, and I told her, "Mom, I'm seeing like the images of like Egypt time, and they said like people like call them gods, but they created us and everything, but they're not gods. They're just an intelligent species, but never gave me the name." And it showed me how they told me how where my abilities came from them, and that we're about to have a shift happen, and a shift of consciousness. And before this, I wasn't into extraterrestrials really. I was following like the more Native American shaman pathway.
Mhm.
I'm also Micmac on my mother's
Mm,
side. So that's kind of like the way I was always going down, as I was figuring that way, never more so extraterrestrial. But they uh, they told me I came from them, my abilities came from them, and they told me like in like 2016 you're going to start hearing more about us. In 2017 you're going to learn about discovery of habitable planets, and this was in 2014, and pretty much on track for what they told me 6 years ago has been going on right now. They even showed me images of how they disarm nuclear weapons, and
mm,
I never like would think to research this stuff beforehand. And so I did my research, and that came out in a movie documentary this year called The Phenomenon, where they talk about government officials do say that yes, they've had crafts come by and disarm all their nuclear weapons. And in my message, they were saying they were trying to preserve mankind, and we have to do this next awakening and evolution process. And that's why I'm here, is to help awaken people and mankind. And they use the word starseed on me and everything. And I was overwhelmed by all this message and I'm trying to relay it to my mom as I'm hearing it in my head. And then I see like giant ships coming to Earth, and the message just ends. And as soon as it ends, all the alarms in the building I'm in start going off. The fire alarm, burglar alarm, and so they're just wee wee wee. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So told my mom, I was like, "Mom, I got to get off the phone. I got to figure out what is going on." So I go to step out the building, and as soon as I open the door, all the alarms shut off. instantly as soon as I step outside. And I see two supervisors walking by, and they're like, "Eddie, you testing out the alarm system in the building?" I said, "No, I'm not." And one of the supervisors was happens to be my cousin. So I was like, "Sheldon, come here. I got to tell you something." And so I brought him over to near the cabin with me, and I just told him, I was like, "Listen, I had this bizarre thing happen to me where it was like this extraterrestrial intelligence source just explaining who I was and gave me a timeline of history and what's going to happen and everything." And as I start talking to him, all these giant black birds, I don't even know what kind they were. There were like 100 of them fly over our head, start dropping acorns all around us. And
Mm.
there are a lot of black birds. And he's looking up, he's like, "What is going on? I've never seen these kinds of birds around here before." And they just, as soon as I finished talking, then they all went away. So I started doing more and more research and figuring out who I was. And so my abilities, I mean, I can produce an intense amount of heat out of my hands and to a point where it's electric. And clients feel that. Um, it's powerful. I mean, when I was a teenager, I used to bend spoons for fun because I can heat them up with my fingers and just make them melt and spin them all around. But so I was always curious on who I was, but this kind of explains somewhat on my abilities and everything.
So your healing is all just how you did your mom, right? That you get the going through your skull and the electric and
Now I mean, I don't. That was the most powerful thing the first time. Maybe that was just the energy flow coming through the first time, but now it just mostly radiates from my hands. Like I could turn it up, and
yeah.
instantly clients will feel it. And I mean, clients will start crying because it's so overwhelming. Clients feel orgasmic because it's so electric, which is just something that happens. Uh, and so it's a different experience for everyone, but it's usually what I love the facial expressions after I'm working on them on the table. Sometimes they're just like mind blown. Like, what the hell did they just experience?
Do you see something like eddies or something swirling, and you know
So
exactly where to go to fix it?
my hands go where they need. I close my eyes and it feels like I'm on a boat in space, and I tap into the energy systems and to a point where I feel like in some of the clients actually it feels like it too. My hands are like inside their energy source, and I'm
Mhm.
working their chakras and everything, and I just go where my hands need to go, and I don't think about anything. I'm feel like I'm just like a channel at that point, and the energy's going to heal them or going wherever it needs to go for them, and I'm just like the Ouija board thing, just sliding around, going where it needs to go.
How about you, Vivian? Is that similar to what you do for healing, or
That's a great question, Jeff, and thank you so much, Eddie, for sharing everything. I could visualize, I could see everything when you were sharing. And just very quickly, it's interesting you talk about women with green eyes because my own mother has green eyes.
Oh
So
wow,
I'm a hybrid myself. So
yes.
and that's a different story. But to go back to the question, more or less, it has a certain quality of it. Is that one of our specialty is that we are repattering, completely repattering a new holographic structure for the client. So when, yes, I will feel a lot of energy through my hands, but also through my third eye. And when we work with someone, it can be even remotely through Zoom or to a screen, for example. But when we connect with the client, we bring them into that holographic quantum field, and from there I can see like we building a completely new structure, and I can see how the weaving of those structures come in, and then we just overlap everything, and then the body absorb it, and then when it's done, then we do the last touch of transfer of energy into the new matrix, then the person come back. So I can relate to the way you do it, Eddie. I think it's wonderful, especially because what I've been feeling a lot in my heart when you were sharing about your mother is it's almost like she served as a catalyst for you to really opening your gift by what you've done for her many years ago, and saving her life as a result. So this is incredible.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's beautiful. I am getting a little audio weird feedback when you talk, Vivian, but I don't hear it with Jeff. So I didn't hear a lot of that. It's just all
Okay.
vibrating.
Okay.
That's
What about
interesting.
you?
Yeah,
What
right
about you,
now
Jeff?
I can't hear you.
Can you?
Absolutely perfect. I think you guys' energies are like too much for each other. Myself.
Yeah.
Can everybody else in the audience, listeners, those who are tuned in, can everybody can hear the sound
All right, now I
loud
hear
and
you.
clear?
Now I hear
Okay,
you good.
it's possible it's on your hand and the
Yeah, it
uh,
could be. Yeah.
unfortunately I cannot do anything about it except for tuning energy. I think you're right, Jeff. It's an energetics.
Oh yeah. No, that happens a lot. Like yeah, since I got into everything, I my information gets stolen. I've had 19 breaches on my personal information from 2010. That's when I worked in government. And like I always have weird things happen. So like to get into the story that we're kind of talking about earlier, in 2017, I was in Arizona, in Chandler, Arizona, and I went to go uh, for a wedding for my uncle, and I wanted to go out to see the Hopi Tribe while I was out there, and like drive out and just talk to him about me being a star seed and everything. The very first night I was there, I got woken up probably around, I don't even know, I didn't have a clock near me, but it had to have been like sometime in the middle of the night between 1 and 4 a.m. And I see this figure at the end of the bed with a black hat, black suit on, and like a pale face with no eyebrow hair, nothing, just staring at me. And I swear I was dreaming. So I try to like open and close my eyes, and it's still staring at me. And so I've had experience with spirit my whole life. That's another part that I can bring into when I do energy work. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like try to do my tower of light and like make it like go away. And it did not go away. So I roll over to one side, and there was another one on that side of the bed, the right side, and I rolled to the left, and there was another one on the left side. So I saw these three figures with a black hat on and suit just staring at me. And they were using telepathy to tell me to keep my mouth shut. And
Oh.
yeah, and they were trying to just intimidate me and scare me. And so I know not to, you know, have fear show or anything, because they can feed on that, on certain energies. And so I was like, no, I'm not gonna let this get to me. I'm just gonna like pretend this isn't happening. So I kept on thinking I was dreaming, but then all of a sudden I hear the door across the hall open, which is my uncle's bedroom, and he wakes up and he's like walking around, and I hear him like checking, like he said he was checking stuff, like 'cause I asked him what he was doing in the morning, and he thought there was somebody in the house. He like feel like people like in the house. He didn't know where it's coming from. So I go to yell out for my uncle, and it was like sleep paralysis. I couldn't get anything out of my mouth. And then all of a sudden they stopped pushing me around, and then I blacked out. And that morning I woke up, and my uncle's like, yeah, I swear somebody was in the house last night. I was walking around trying to make sure the doors and locks on the windows were everything well locked, because I felt somebody in the house. And so that kind of showed me that I wasn't probably dreaming that if he also saw that. But it was pretty interesting, and that was the one and only time that's ever happened. But it was wild.
Were,
Pat, do you
were
have
they men in black?
what's that?
I don't know. I mean, they had no facial hair, with a black hat on and a black suit, and
Hmm.
they weren't using words. It was all telepathy. And so I have no idea what it was. I talked to Sue Walker about it, and she doesn't think it was the actual Men in Black, but I don't know. They could have just been like presenting themselves that way. I have no idea what or who it was, but they just wanted me to keep my mouth shut, because I mean, yeah, I mean, the stuff that happens in my life has made me question a lot of things, especially like having also a law enforcement background and everything. Like I try to second guess a lot of things sometimes. Like, did this really just happen? I had a few years, like 2 years ago, I was outside around 8 p.m. at night, and I looked up at the skies and said, all right, universe, I want to see something cool. And I just like kind of threw it out there, not thinking about anything. And I'm walking down my driveway, and right before I get into my truck, and no one around, a glowing ball just appears out of thin air, like as real can be, and a fairy flies in front of my face. And it, like, I could feel the wings flapping in front of my face. It was about soft. I have large hands, so it was about like that size, and It went all around my head, and I could feel its wings fly, and it was so brightly glowing, and it whizzed in front of a tree and disappeared. So, like, yeah, I've had a lot of interesting things happen in my life, and I kind of just take it as it is and go with it. That's how I always just let it flow and
Hmm.
try to not let it drive me crazy.
Have you ever worked on somebody and activated them with the healing?
Yes. So
That's the
there's
question that the
the
Pisces wanted you to ask.
yeah I had a client who's also a Reiki shaman master. She came up from the south, um, and she's friends with my mentor. So my mentor is always like, "Oh, you got to see Eddie's work and feel it." So I worked I had her in the room, and like I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but when I went to her third eye, I activated something. It was like if I put my finger in a wall socket, and then
Hmm.
it was going right into her third eye, to a point where she just was like, "Ah!" She was very vocal over it because it was just so powerful, and she said I definitely opened up or activated something in our third eye chakra, which was, yeah, it was intense. Some clients, when I touch them, as soon as I touch them, it'll feel like electricity, and sometimes I'll have their loved ones come through. Like I had one client, as soon as I put my hands on them, I felt like a strong electrical current where I backed off my hand real quick because it felt so strong. And my mentor was there, and she's like, Eddie, just let it flow. So I try to like relax and let it flow. And in the corner of the room, this guy all of a sudden appears and goes, "Hi, Ed, I'm John," and waved his hand and the way he talked and everything like that. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I'm doing my work on her. She just had her second degree Reiki attunement. And so I was just balancing out everything afterwards. And afterwards, my mentor was like, Eddie, did you experience or see anything? I'm like, well, yeah, some guy all of a sudden appeared in the corner of the room and went, "Hi, Ed, I'm John." And the client on the table just immediately starts crying. And she goes, "That's my father. His name is John. And the way you just talked and the way I threw my voice like that is how he would have introduced himself." So it's pretty neat when I tap into energy, what can come through and what happens. It's different for everybody. Yeah.
You're right, it does. You're absolutely right on. It will be different, and I like the way you tailor, the energy work for what that person needs, and it's opening other possibilities and potential. Like for that one in particular, her father coming and says, "Hey, I'm John, I'm here." Just
Yep.
remind, it's a reminder. And I love when it happens, whether it's star family, a guide, a teacher, a loved ones. It's just amazing. We have um, we have a question in the audience, if it's
Hmm.
okay with everyone, for you, Eddie, of course.
Yep.
So Kathy is asking, why does that strong energy happen for some Reiki energy workers, but not necessarily for others?
I mean, I personally was born with it, and like everyone that I work on, even like my Reiki mentors say what I'm doing actually isn't Reiki. It's stronger than that.
Mhm.
So they call it. My last name is Enokian, which those who aren't familiar means language of the angels. So it's and that's the name I was born with. So it's a powerful energy that can come out of me that's strong and like, but I think I was born with it, but I feel like when I put it into some people, it awakens them to a point where they realize they have their own potential of doing energy work. May not be as strong, but when I do it, it's just because that's what they have to feel at that time. Like it has to be that intense. I have some clients where they don't feel anything, and it could be chakra blockages or just they're not ready to feel that energy through. Like it's funny. I've been married for 20 years next year, or I've been with my wife for
Oh,
20 years next year, and we've been married for since 2004. So and I can't do energy work on her when she's awake. It's only when she's sleeping and her mind is still. She's a scientist, so like she works in the blood bank and she's very and, like she's going for a master's in public health. So she's a really smart girl and her brain just I can feel it. It goes too much. So as soon as she
mhm.
sleeps, it can flow. So with some people, like with the client, I mean the person in the chat room, with Reiki and stuff, like it's all about letting go. And like people that think too much and use their brain too much, it sometimes blocks it. And I just let it flow. I do use both hemispheres of my brain, which is a little different than most people. So I'm a lefty and a righty. And I don't know if that has anything to help with the energy flow or not, but for me personally, it's just I let go of everything, and it's not living in ego and fear, doubt, judgment. Let all that go, and just let the energy flow. Um, I also teach polarity and massage now at Spa Tech. I got that job in September, and so I'm teaching polarity. And I remember when I went there, some people that were in the class were like, "Oh, polarity, it's the most strongest, powerfulest thing. It's way stronger than Reiki and everything." And to me, that's not the right answer. I don't think there's one modality stronger than the other. It's just how the energy flows through everyone differently. Some people, like I use chi energy, I use polarity energy, I use Reiki energy. I'm just using all of that universal life force, and I've just been blessed with being born with how to tap into that easier. And some people, it just takes time and practice. And like if I don't do energy work for a while, it takes a while for me to get charged up again. But if I work on a lot of people, like we did a holiday party last year for my cousin at her massage studio in Plymouth. She asked me to come in, and she wanted me to do chair massage, but energy wanted to flow. So I told her, can I just do a little 10-minute energy session on people coming in? And I had to line out the door within like an hour of people wanting to experience my energy work for just 5 minutes of work, 5-10 minutes of work. And it just mind blows them. Like what the hell did I just experience? Some people say, "Oh, Eddie's doing magic," but it's not I mean, it can be magical because I mean, it's you're feeling energy so intense, and it makes people like sometimes I have to put my hands off because it's burning their body. It can get so hot out of my hands, and or they immediately start sweating profusely, or it's different for everybody. But yeah, everyone's different, and it just takes time and daily meditation and practice. I work on myself every day. I have to give myself self Reiki and self energy work and help it balance out.
I got a question from the Pine team.
Yes.
They want to know: have you ever worked on one twin and not the other one, and the other one felt it?
No, I haven't worked on a twin yet. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I bet they would. I
yeah.
bet they would.
I had worked on a few years ago another Reiki shaman master, and she had a stroke, and so we drove like it was like an hour and a half drive out to see this client, and I went with my mentor because she's like we've been working on her for like 3 years, and I can't get her to like she's just walking with a cane, and you could tell she had a stroke. She like one side of her face is droopy and everything, and they're like, "Can you just try working on it? I have a feeling you can do something." So I went for the drive out in Western Mass. I live in Plymouth, Mass, and I met her and everything. I put her on the table, and I don't know what happens, but this finger was like it just starts tapping right on top of her head, and it was right where she had her stroke, and some weird electrical stuff happens, and less than an hour she jumps off the table with no cane and was feeling like amazing to a point where she was walking like at least a mile a day in her neighborhood unassisted. So it's pretty cool how energy works when it's open and the other client is open to receive it. But yeah, I would definitely like to try to work on twins, or I honestly would love to have a thermal camera on me just to
Yeah.
see. I would love to see that energy captured on camera for me being the scientific mind also. And actually, I would love to see it because I mean, there's definitely a transfer of heat and energy that comes out of my hands, and I'm sure it can be documented somehow. But this, because I also am around a lot of skeptics and family and everything, and like that to me is, I mean, it doesn't get to me, but like it'd be nice for them to see that this is the actual scientific thing where yes, we're made of energy. We are all energy. So
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
it's just ability to let it flow through, and I can just turn it up sometimes really good for them.
It
Um,
it really,
Go ahead.
thank you. It really shows how much what you just described, Eddie. It shows that we are the most powerful tool and machine. We don't need, technology,
Right.
computer to analyze for us. We have this ability, and you make a good point too when you said that depending on, what soul agreements the soul has to go through, karmic implication, what the soul of, need to learn, sometimes it will work more on a solo level. The energy work, I always tell clients, it always work one way or another. It's depend on what level is the most needed. Like that person that you said, tapping onto the point on the head where she had a stroke and then something miraculous happened for her. But you're right, she was also ready, and I feel like there was an alignment that allowed you to do that, and that transfer happened. I think it's amazing when we witness that.
Oh, so beautiful, and especially when like the clients, because I mean, now that I'm teaching, a lot of students are so curious about me, and they want to feel the energy and everything, and so I love working on the students for like giving them like at the end of the day of class. My teachers of my coworkers are like, Eddie, can you just do it at like the end of the day? Because some people are so just overtaken by how powerful it is. They're a basket case for the rest of the day. And I had this one student, her like eyes rolled in the back of her head because like when I after I did my energy work, I was like, all right, it's all done. I saw her eyes roll back forward, and her eyes just start immediately welling up, and she just starts crying, and it was so beautiful. Like I have such a big open heart, and I'm that type of person that will definitely cry with you over the shoulder if we need to release that energy. It's a beautiful thing. And as you can see, I love my Reiki. I got the symbols on me, and
Mhm.
Ah,
yeah, yeah,
beautiful.
it's all my tools.
Okay, I got a good question.
What's up?
There are certain people that can develop a blocker. Okay, um, I can develop a block on people. Okay, so that they can't come and get me.
Yeah.
Do you do the same thing so that you don't get a reversed energy from a rogue person?
Yeah, no, you have to. I mean, and that was tough. That
That's
I
a learned skill.
It is because I've actually been possessed by spirit twice, and because
Hmm.
I'm such a open channel, and I had to learn how to block that
Hmm.
so it doesn't come in, and that took years of talking to shamans, and I talked to a lama in northern part of Massachusetts for a while, and it's that takes like practice and practice of like just doing whatever. There's all different names. The Tower of Light. We in polarity it's called rise, doing raising your sublime energy type of thing, where just like
Mhm.
imagine that vortex around you and protecting you. And it's I mean, it takes a lot of imagination, but imagination works. Everything starts as a thought. So
Hmm.
if you like manifesting this shield around you, um, it can be powerful. I mean, I've used my energy work to protect myself physically before. I
Hmm.
had I had I was at a supermarket, and this was probably yeah, about 6 years ago now. And I hear a bunch of screaming, commotion, and this guy's beating up his mother in the supermarket, like this mentally ill person, punching her in the face. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And like I just had finished with Homeland Security and everything, so I always have had that mentality. I got to serve and protect. And so I see immediately like the staff circle around this guy, and he had that fight or flight look. And they were like, call the police. And I'm watching it from a distance first because I'm very wise and I don't just usually jump in because I can kind of mentally prepare and see what's going to happen in certain situations. So I was trying to assess the whole situation, and I was like, all right, I'm going to have to step in because this guy was going to make a run for it if they tried. And they tried calling the police. So I had all the people in the supermarket. I was like, "Excuse me, gentlemen, I'm going to take care of this." And I looked at the guy dead in the eyes. And I was like, "What you just did you're going to get arrested for it." And of course, I wanted to just deck him for beating up his mother. But he's like, "Yeah, well, what the F are you going to do about it?" And I said, "Wrong answer." And I grabbed him by the back of the head, and then my front of the hand blasted him with chi to a point he got knocked out cold. And I just brought him to the ground, and he was out like a light. And everyone around me was like, "What did you do to him? What did you do to him?" And I'm like, "He's all right. He's just taking a little nap right now."
Right, hit him
And
with a
then
light bulb.
yeah, and then when the cops came, they had to slap him to wake him up and put the cuffs on him. So yeah, energy work. I mean, you use it the right ways, and it can be powerful. You can use it to safeguard yourself. You can use it for defense, and
Right.
but I do all my stuff is out of love. Like when I'm working on clients and everything, some of them say it's the most loving feeling they've ever felt, and it's because I'm pouring my heart into that session on my clients, and I give it my all every time.
Yeah, you
Now,
can tell.
Vivian can remote fix people. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Can you do that too, or is that
I have done remote work, but to me, I like having the client right there, and
okay?
like I like the feeling of touch. So like I usually like my hands on them, and I connect with that energy. But I have done distant work for people, but I feel more gratification and satisfaction out of having
Right,
like
right there.
right there and experiencing it all. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it depends. I honor both. For us working remotely. It's like we do remote viewing or we're there directly with the person.
Yeah.
So the connection, the soul to soul connection with their supreme self, with their heart, it's just as strong as if they were in physically in the room with us. And it really depends. We all serve purposes. We all unique in ways how we help others. And ultimately, when we bring all together like we are now, we are far more powerful. So I
Oh
love it
yes.
either way, right? We have a
That's right.
few questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie. We have a few questions in the audience, if that's okay with everyone. Um, Sunshine is asking, I would like to know if it's possible to activate someone else third eye from a distance.
Yeah, if that person, I mean, energy is endless. So, I mean, if that other person is open to receive, I believe it can work. I mean, my mother just had surgery a couple weeks ago, and I knew I couldn't physically be there. So I was throwing it all in there for her to receive it. If that, it takes two. So as long as that energy is flowing, it can go both ways. The client can receive. I personally have never done any attunements on clients, but I don't see why, if both parties are open to receive energy, why it couldn't go anywhere in the universe.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for that, Eddie. Simon from Somerset in the UK is asking, can you please repeat where did your parents have the abduction
Yeah.
experience that you mentioned at the beginning?
So this was in November 1979. They got married on the 24th. So it was like the week of the 24th of 1979 in Lincoln, New Hampshire, in the White Mountain Cabins. And they said actually the following day after their abduction, there was no one even around. They didn't find anyone. And my mom even said, like, when she first went there to get the keys to the cabin, she said it reminded her, like, on that, was that The Men in Black, when that lizard creature takes over that guy's suit and he's like the farmer guy. My mom said it looked like someone like in some type of earth suit talking to them that day. It was like really odd. She didn't say much and just handed the keys over, and that was it. So yeah, that was a wild experience for them, and like I never really thought much of it until I had my own personal experience. Then it all kind of started making sense on who I was and everything.
Yeah, putting all the dots together, indeed.
Yeah.
But we have another question here from Katie. Katie's asking, what is the source of your energy, like your guides?
So I've never had definite answers. When I've done my work, I have been told in meditations, everything, my source comes from the Anunnaki. Um, and that's where I get my energy and my gifts from. Um, but that's, I like more validation. I had that in one meditation. It just came across as an Anunnaki. My medicine woman um, also believes, and people that have been around me, that I am some type of descendant of the Anunnaki. With Enoch and everything going on in my timeline of history. But I'm one that, like, if I don't personally 100% know, I don't know. It's just a powerful energy source that comes through from, it's the universal energy. I don't think it's one specific source. I have no idea where it comes from. I just am an open channel for it. And I've gone through a lot. Like, I've gone through counselors, because when I was in the 10th grade, I told my guidance counselor, because I see spirits all the time, and I think I was crazy. And so I told my guidance counselor, like, I think I have like a drop dead Fred I got to get rid of. And 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 which probably was the wrong words to use to a guidance counselor at school. So they sent me to get talk to a psychologist, and I talked to a psychologist, and they said, you're not crazy, but we also don't know what to make of it. Every single doctor I've talked to, they all said, Eddie, you're not crazy, but we don't know what to make of it. I've gone to psychics in psychic shows and stood in the back of the room, not said a thing, and they pointed me out saying, Eddie, well, they don't say my name, but they're like, you over there, you're not from here. I don't know where to place you, but you're different. And that's so it's been frustrating as for me trying to figure out exactly who I am and everything. I've gone to hypnotherapists and multiple therapists throughout my life, and it's my own journey, I guess. I'm just trying to figure out, but I'm here. I know what's real is this energy that comes out of me is real, and the ability to heal people. I mean, not everyone's gonna. That's one thing that's tough. Like when I say I'm an energy healer, because I get people to come to me that were just diagnosed with like cancer and everything, and that's tough when they want to just have it go right away. And I tell them, I'm like, I'm just a channel. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'll do my best to let the energy flow through you and take it from there. But it's not always gonna be like a one and done type of session like it has been on some people. It's whatever where energy has to go and what's going on in their life and what they need to have happen in their life. I just gotta respect that.
Very well said. Absolutely. And same here. I've worked with people who had really heavy karma, but at the same time, it serves such a higher purpose that the assistance will be provided in a different form than what they originally want to say, whether it's an ailment or a disease or anything like that. Sometimes the soul always says, you won't be able to heal that because there's a purpose behind it. However, this is what you can do, and this is the assistance that we're going to be allowed to provide. So I really relate to you, Eddie.
Yeah.
We have a question from Divine Fractal. She asking,
Oh, hi.
yeah, hi, Divine Fractal. Can we please ask Eddie if he has connected with David Lone Bear Sanipass?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I haven't even heard that name. I think she might have mentioned, because I've talking to Divine before on Twitter. I haven't reached out to him yet, but yeah, no, I should definitely do that, because I think she's mentioned his name before.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask a question because,
Thanks.
Eddie, I just want to let you know, we have people from, across the USA. We also have people from other countries who have come to listen to you and also learn from your experience, your energy, who you are, your light. And we have people from the UK, the Netherlands. We have people from Spain. And I think it's wonderful. I just want to let you know that we have a
That's
beautiful,
beautiful.
yeah, beautiful audience right now. And we are always
Nice.
so grateful. With Simon, the Bifractal, Joanna, Gina, and other people coming every time. We're very grateful for you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Um, Jeff, do you have anything on your hand, or maybe from the Pantine that maybe they want to have something?
Well, yeah, I'm going to let those guys just mess around, but I want to know more about the Men in Black. Can you talk about that a little bit more in depth?
So yeah, I've never experienced anything like this in the past. So I honestly thought I was dreaming in the beginning, but like I felt energy because I mean I grew up in a house that had spirits in it. So like I was woken up by the feeling of something in the room, and
But
I
but they didn't project any energy on you. You just
I
felt.
physically felt touched, but like they were pushing me around, and then I blacked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the when I blacked out once I started physically feeling like they were like shoving me around on the bed, and that's I just kind of went in my bubble and just like I don't remember anything else after that. But I researched what the Men in Black look like, and a lot of them don't have any eyebrows, and they're all
Right.
pale skin.
Right.
And so like that description was like spot on from what I saw firsthand. And I'm one of those people I don't bullshit. So like I say it how it is, and sometimes that bites me in the ass because I'm so honest and so open. I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide or try to get from saying. So that's what happened to me. I I saw three of them. It was first one, and then both on each side of the bed, and they were just like it was an intimidating energy, and they were just looking at me and like with their telepathy, just telling me like they were being bullies. They wanted me to be quiet and not talk about everything, and I'm just
Was this
sitting
after
there.
you were,
What's that?
was this after your mom's uh,
Yes.
coma thing? Okay.
Yeah, so this happened in 2017,
Okay.
in February of 2017 is when they showed up, and then like I said, I blacked out, but because my uncle was in the house and he actually thought somebody was in the house, I woke up and was like, crap, I don't think that was really a dream, because it gave you that weird sick feeling in your stomach when it happened.
Hmm.
It was it was really interesting, and I've heard like other stories of people that have had experiences with them. Dan Aykroyd actually had experience with the
Hmm.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Um, he was on the phone with Britney Spears and doing this show, and saw like this car pull up, and they just looked at him, and then he looked again, and they were gone.
Yeah.
So
Nick Redfern talks about them, and we had a couple of conversations about that, and he's pretty specific on exactly what they look like and their agenda here and is everything. So you must have done something to awaken them to come get you to warn you to back off. You're encroaching on an area that that they're
yeah,
monitoring.
and my plans were totally just to go to the Hopi tribe. I wanted to spend some time with the shaman over there and just talk to them and let them help maybe validate some stuff for me with the star people and everything, because that message I got in 2014 kept on referring to me as a star person. So I was trying to figure out the meaning of all that, and I didn't end up going. I called my medicine woman up and I told her what happened, and she told me to get a rattle to shake the energy around in the room and everything. So I got a shaman rattle and like cleansed the room up, and I was definitely like a little eased up like that following night. I was wondering if like, oh shit, am I gonna get another visit or anything? And nothing ever happened after that. That was the one and only time. Just like the message I got in 2014 was I've never had anything like that before. I've seen crafts. I don't know if they were Pond T, but 2 years ago or so, it was in the summer, towards the late summer, and over my house, two ships were flying like side by side as I was bringing a bag of groceries in, or I would have pulled out my phone to try to film it. And I told my wife, I was like, look at these things. This isn't regular crafts. They're like, they were flying like probably about maybe 20,000 feet in the air, and flying in unison across. But as soon as I just about to pass my house, the lights, it was at nighttime, the lights expanded like 5 times and it blasted off into space. And it was gone within a matter of seconds.
Hmm.
I, so, I mean, I've had experiences with seeing craft. I've sent you video before that other craft, that square like craft that
Right.
I saw.
Right.
But Yeah, I don't have many other experiences personally. I just do my energy work, and I'm waiting for the eventful times that are supposed to be happening in the very near future.
Oh yeah, it's already happening now. So
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
No.
it's happening. The disclosures here, and I love feeling validated and not. Now all this stuff that's happening. My mother actually dates someone that's pretty high ranking in the Air Force, and when I had my experience in 2014, she told him like the stuff that happened to me and what I saw. And just recently, like I think within the last couple months, she talked to him again. She goes, you know, like what Eddie said about all those UFOs and disclosure and stuff happening, it's happening now. And he goes, yes, I know everything that Eddie said was true. So it's pretty cool that get some validation on that and just
Well,
sit back and enjoy the ride.
well,
yeah, they know.
has this year been tough for you because of the COVID, or
Oh,
people
it's
come to you to maybe help them
yeah.
themselves from it?
So I opened my office up March 1st. We were
Right.
shut down 2 weeks later. so
Oh,
so that sucked. Yeah. And it's been tough trying to like, you know, get a steady flow of clientele. It actually is just starting to pick up again. A lot of
good, good,
people
good.
are wanting to receive energy work and help them out and try to figure. I mean, this is stressful times for everyone right now, and we all have stuff we're going through. Lots of tears being shed. I mean, I had to put my dog down the other day
Hmm.
of 12
Oh,
years.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's been a very tearful weekend. My daughter was still crying this morning over it. We had to put her
Oh,
down Thursday evening. And
oh,
so it's just a heavy, sad energy going around everywhere, like it seems. But I'm trying to stay positive and not let that dark energy, like I personally, I don't get involved with anything that's really going on in the world because I know I have to just take care of myself and stay in this self-centered area because all the stuff that's going around right now is it's distracting. It's making people physically sick. And I've had a lot of clients come to me recently that are physically sick over all the political stuff going on because it's in the I'm trying to help them out. Like to me personally, I mean, maybe it's because I was also raised as a Jehovah's Witness, but we don't have any political affiliation with anything. So we just stay on who we are, and I know that there's a higher source they're gonna make themselves known real soon. I mean, the Ponte, I'm pretty sure next year or so that
Okay. Yep.
yeah,
Sarah's got a question for you.
yeah,
And well, this is going to sound stupid and weird, but this is what she's asking
hmm,
me. She wants to know if you tasted anybody's energy.
yes, yeah. No, I in this weird, yeah. So the taste though, it could be like I had a client that I could tell she was drinking alcohol, and I could taste that in my mouth when I was working on her,
Wow.
and it was gross. And so I always tell my clients beforehand, but this was actually like someone that I just like was like, oh, let me do energy work on it. I wasn't like prepared. She wasn't prepared, so maybe she had something to drink, but like I could physically taste the alcohol in my mouth as I was working on her. And so yeah, there's different tastes, there's different smells, different feels. It's different for everyone. Every single person I've never had the same session on another like on anyone. It's all different.
Hmm.
oh yeah. Yeah, it will definitely be, it has to be tailored because vibrationally, we all have a very unique frequency signature to us that we're going to pick up on and a huge history, and also who we are. Um, I've been getting something very strong for you, Eddie, and
Hmm.
my galactic team, because my galactic team just got a lot bigger lately among with my Arcturian, core group. And when you were talking about your Enoki connections,
Hmm.
it's almost like something hit me on the frontal lobe of memories, like right on my thyroid, and we're like, it makes so much sense for you because what I heard so strongly in my thymus chakra in my solar plexus for you was the part of the soul who've come to heal so much karma, so much wound, so much damage has been done from previous and throughout old history, whether it's the Enoki, whether it's part of those who came from Orions and other places, but especially with the Enoki. And I felt that you've come here like clearing and helping to heal at a deeper level, and to heal also past trauma that has been inflicted here on this planet. And one of the things is that they know who you are, whether you call them men in black, whether it's interdimensional faction, whether it's those who are, want to keep control of the planet and so forth. They know who you are. They all know who we are. They're not being
Yeah.
fooled by persona, or you came in with a different form, different name, different shape. They know who you are. And it's like, if you do that, it completely dismantled and changed the paradigm that they want to keep preserve on the planet. So I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it just hit me like a ton of
Oh,
bricks
that's
just listening.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, like I've been given all opportunities in life. Like I said, I've done everything. So I mean, started like when I was in high school, I knew the photographer. My teacher knew the photographer for Tommy Hilfiger. Got me into this whole thing with modeling and Nautica and everything. And like, it seems like I constantly like it didn't feel right. Like even like when I was doing like law enforcement. I love doing law enforcement to protect people, but something inside me kept on pulling me to like, no, I gotta do something else. And so it's always like evolving. And I feel bad for my wife constantly changing careers all the time, but it's trying to just listen to myself and know I have a purpose here, and I have to be more known and make myself readily available for people. And if I'm caught up in these other distractions in the worldly careers, it's just I'm not gonna be there. So it got to a point actually in my life where I didn't even want to be here anymore because I felt like I was wasting my time on earth,
Mm.
which was tough. I mean, that's been a struggle throughout my life, is wanting to be back and have my wings. Like I remember what it feels like to have wings. And like on descriptions on some of the Sumerian tablets and everything with the Anunnaki, they have wings on their backs.
Mhm.
And so that's has to be who I was. um and so like, but my energy sometimes, like when I get into a dark hole, wants to be back in there, but then I have to shift back and know, no, I'm here for a purpose, and my purpose is to be present here on Earth and help expand consciousness and awaken people. And it's like it's not an easy commitment to make, and it hasn't been easy at all. Like people say, yes, you are so blessed to have these gifts and everything. Yes, it's awesome, but it's a lot to hold.
Yeah.
And
Careful what you wish for, man. I keep telling
yeah,
everybody, once the love affair is over, man, I mean, these guys, they're relentless.
yeah, yeah. It's always like dark energies and everything trying to push me to be back down in that hole and not to succeed and everything. And so I always have to build myself back up and just stay strong and keep on going forward and trust. And I tell everyone, it's just I just show love. And I like, if I feel like love always wins, so if I just constantly am showing love and gratitude, and like life will show me where I have to be and go. So that's how I handle it.
What's the
It
youngest
makes perfect
person you
sense.
worked on?
What was
How old's
that?
the youngest person you worked on?
The oldest?
No, the youngest.
Probably, well, so I love babies. Like when babies are just born, I like, my energy radiates. Like even pregnant women, I love putting my hands on pregnant women bellies because I just love feeling that pure energy. So babies, like I'm like, my wife calls me the baby whisperer because I'll hold a baby and like just let the energy flow, and it's so beautiful, and they just fall asleep. But my youngest son, I because he's probably my child too, but he him and I, we can like work really well on energy where his body's twitching after, just like from all the energy surges going through his body. But
Are you getting the like a recharge from the young ones?
My youngest Oliver, um, I connect with really good. Even when he was born, the day he was born, and I'm holding him in my arms, I felt this huge energy blast happen, and I called my mom up, and she goes, "I felt that too, Eddie." Like she knew right away, like there's something. I mean, all my children are definitely unique. I've actually had to go to the elementary school. One of the teachers, she came. We were in a meeting, and she's like, "All right, I don't want to like freak you guys out talking to my wife and I, but your children are different, and like in a good way, different. Like they're definitely spiritually evolved." I mean, my youngest is a genius. He scored perfect scores on his testing and everything. Didn't get one question wrong on engineering and everything. He's 12 years old. And then I have a 14-year-old, and he's a smart kid, but he's also on the autism spectrum. But he's high functioning and very intelligent. My daughter's a beautiful soul, and she's 17. So yeah, and like I've gone to the primary care physicians and had to tell them, listen, we're different, because people can see it around us, like the
Mhm.
way our energy is and everything. Like people feel it, and it makes them wonder like who we are. And so I think it's beautiful that we're able to show people like, yes, there's so much more out there than what society shows you of the daily grind of just working and then retiring and then dying. It's just, there's so much more to life than that. And that's why I feel like I'm here, is to help express that to people.
Can you
No,
see auras around people?
I
Sorry.
can't. Yes.
it's okay.
Yeah. So depending on the client, yes, definitely can see auras. It The best way I see it though, it's almost like if like you're looking on like a desert highway and you see like the vapors coming up off the asphalt.
Mhm.
It looks a lot like that, but sometimes I'll see the colors. But I used to work at a restaurant, and I was a waiter, and I went around to the table, and this one person at the table like was like, her aura was like vibrating big time, and it was like throwing me off big time when I was trying to talk to her, because energy wanted me to talk to her, and like she's at the table with her kids and everything, and I'm like, how am I going to bring this up? So I looked at it, I was like, are you like into anything like spiritual wise or anything? Like there's something about you that's like vibrating a lot. And she was like, oh, all right. Like I could tell her like she wanted to say something to me, but not in front of her kids. And so I kept on like walking by her, and like it would kind of go away, and I'm like looking at her in the distance, and I see her aura just vibrating, and like my energy just wanted to pull towards her. So I was like, all right, I don't know what it is about you, but yeah, there's something about your energy that like I have to, I don't know, you need me for something. And so she's like, okay. So like right before she left, she hands me her phone number, and she's like, call me, because you're kind of making sense of what you're picking up. And so I gave her a call, and she was just diagnosed with breast cancer that day, and she was looking for some type of soul searching and everything, and just, I don't know, energy called us together, and I had a great conversation with her and helped her feel better and everything. And it's weird on how people are. When I used to work at the airport, so I also worked at TSA, and I loved working there, being an energy worker in one sense, because there's so many people from the Boston Logan Airport coming in there and able to like see and feel all different energy. And I'd feel sick ones, and like I'd put my hands on them, like, and they're not supposed to hug passengers. I always did. It's probably I don't work there anymore. But um yeah, I could feel their energy when they're stressed. Like saw a passenger coming through, and she was obviously all worked up, and I was like, give me a hug. She's like, really? I'm like, give me a hug. You need it right now before you fly, just to relax. And so I gave her a nice warm embrace. And that's the type of person I am. I'm a hugger and a kisser. I hug and kiss everybody. I love everyone. So I gave her a nice hug and everything. And after, she's like, thank you so much. And like when the cats would come through the airport, you get some nasty cats. And I was the cat whisperer with my energy work, and they're like, "That cat's gonna claw you to death as soon as you open that thing up." I'm like, no, it won't. It'll be all right. And I put in it, it'd be purring in my hands, and the people are like, What is going on here? This cat's never nice to anyone." So yeah, it's always been beautiful to like show like everyday people like uh, genuine love is for
Mhm.
humankind. Yeah.
Really much so. Thank you so much, Eddie. I
Yeah.
have a question here from Gina. Um, you mentioned earlier that you were able to use both your brain hemisphere and you utilizing also
Hmm.
right and left. You're very textile in that sense, very,
Yes.
So she's asking, do you feel that being ambidextrous, I don't know how to say that word, but
Ambidextrous.
thank you,
Yeah.
is a plus for powerful energy work for healing humans?
I actually do. So like this finger's going this way, that one's going that way. I'm using both hemispheres to tell what one side to do one way, one side to do the other. So like it's good for energy work. I mean it's frustrating. Um Sometimes like your brain does get scrambled sometimes trying to balance everything out. But I feel like it's a part of the next step of evolution and using both hemispheres of the brain, not just one side. Um, that's like one thing that's unique to me. My eyes, I have unique eyes. My eye doctor said my nerves are double the size of the average humans, and so he doesn't understand why. I mean, typically that's a sign of glaucoma, but I don't have any signs of glaucoma. And he, our last visit this year, he's like, it's interesting. Must be hereditary because your son has it too. My youngest son has the same thing. Our nerves behind, and I have better than 20/20 vision. So it's I see.
Vivian, fix my eye. I tell you, I had diabetes in my right eye.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Done.
Wow. Yeah. So it's
2020, I can see perfectly.
that's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. So I mean, I think it does help able to use both hemispheres of the brain. Um, but I know there's other just as powerful healers that are right-handed or left-handed. But for me, yeah, it definitely helps.
Wonderful. Gina is very grateful. She said, thank you. Divine Fractal, huh? We love her. She's
Yes.
asking, have you been able to telepathically talk to any babies?
Yes. Even in the womb.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like actually just yesterday, I'm going into Target. I see a pregnant woman and I immediately knew it was a boy. And and I was just like, I gave it a little love. And as I was just walking by, I didn't say anything to her, but I was like with the baby inside, like, oh, it's a little baby boy. And I could feel the energy and everything. And I just kind of like go by and give them a little grace of energy without trying to, well, I don't want to freak people out all the time. Like, oh, can I put my hands on your belly? Because that's just creepy. But that's like what I would love to do. Is like I actually thought of maybe even like going into maternity ward and just holding babies because like they're just such a pure soul and energy, and like it's so easy to communicate with them because they're just so pure. And yeah, I love it. If I could have more children, I probably would.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
you were going that way. What about animals?
Animals, yes, animals and plants. So
Hmm.
we have a lot of animals in our house. I don't even know how many. I have everything from tarantulas to snakes to reptiles to amphibians to chickens to dogs to cats. We have it all, and we're all in unison from the energy that I flow through this house. Like I can leave my snake out on the couch beside my cat, and they know that we're family and that we're like we're all one. The reptile energy. I feel like on my father's mother's side, I may have some reptilian descent. It comes from my
Hmm.
Cape Verdean. I'm also Cape Verdean, and Cape Verdean culture.
We lost you for a moment here. This the energy, definitely, right, Jeff?
I
Okay,
just lost.
there you go,
Whoa,
Vivian.
that's
You're
weird.
up.
Can you see me?
You, your
I,
camera is frozen.
yeah, camera's frozen.
Hello.
Ground yourself, brother.
What is going on? Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
All the
Yeah,
electricity in my house just flashed.
yeah. That I know why. It's just
And I'm talking
I'm
to it.
getting so
This
many
happens a lot.
messages.
Well, that's
Yeah.
yeah. So my whole house just did a flash reset. So
Yeah.
everything, my TV just went to a white screen. Yeah, there's something going on with the energy in this house. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that was weird. I just felt a weird shift. Um,
Trust me, it happens all the time.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I've actually, so I meditated with using like frequencies, 432 megahertz, and I've manifested that noise out loud in my house. And I was telling my daughter, I was telling her how I was like meditating, doing the om and all this stuff, and talking about frequency. And as I'm talking to her, inside our house, we hear it out loud. And I didn't have any speakers. And my daughter's eyes, all of a sudden, she's looking around all scared. It's like, Dad, are you like playing a trick on me? You putting something on our Google Home speakers or anything? I'm like, no, honey. I was like, that it manifested out loud, the weird 432 megahertz sound.
Yeah. We hear things here in our home too. We hear Tibetan ball playing out of nowhere, or crystal ball play out of nowhere. Eddie, can you still hear us? No, I think he's coming back. So let us just give Eddie a moment to reset and let his technology.
What
Exactly.
is going on?
There
Yeah,
you
Hello?
go.
All right, can
Welcome
you see
back.
me? I just turned off my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
Welcome
fine.
back.
Yep.
What is going on? Yeah, I have a lot of weird stuff going on in my house right now. Yeah,
Uh,
everything just got reset again. So
yeah, it's a reset, just like on the planet. We are resetting into a new structure, and even the crystalline grids are resetting. We have a question
my
for you.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. My TV keeps on going off and on. This is so weird. Okay, I don't know if
Oh,
y'all can see this, but this is the TV. I'm not doing anything. It's just going off and on. Okay, all right. So what were you saying?
I think that's playful energy, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
yeah, big reset. Divine Fractal is asking you, Eddie, do you do any healing? Do you do any healing on the animals?
Yes. So my dog Tucker, he's a pit bull. He was sick, really sick, a few years ago, and I had him in the hospital, and they didn't think he was going to live. He had a temperature of 105, and
Wow.
I did intense energy work on him on there, and he received it well, and he pulled through that day, but it was like very touchy. Horses love energy work. So I have a horse stable right down the street from us, and there's this giant Clydesdale. I'll send you a picture after, Jeff. I'll show you. And the Clydesdale, I was just putting my hand on its nose, and it fell asleep in my hand, like rested its head and closed its eyes, and just loved the energy work. And it got all this weird oily stuff all over my hands. It was just so relaxed and calm and beautiful. Yes, animals love energy work. Even my plants, like everything is all energy, so you can talk to it all if you can learn how to tap into it. Like I grow cannabis where I am. It's legal and everything. And like you can communicate with the plants. Even like I have a lemon tree in my house. I planted I went to the store, got a lemon, took out the seed, and I planted them, and I got a bunch of lemon trees. And like I can listen to the lemon trees and like where they like to be placed. They don't like to be around modems and Wi-Fi and stuff. That hurts them. That frequency like it like physically makes them sick. So you have to like be careful when you're placing the plants and stuff to make sure they're all happy, and
Now, when you
just
do that,
communicate.
do you have to meditate to communicate with the plant, or can you just like instantly feel it?
It's just an instant. I like most stuff that happens with me, which is weird, is when I'm not thinking about anything or like not expecting to try to do anything. Like even when I do mediumships, that happens when I don't expect it or want it to happen. There's so much weird stuff going on in my house right now. Sorry, I'm just keep on seeing all these different glowing things moving around. Um, but yeah, it just happens when it happens, and I just take it as it is. Like like I'll go into I used to window clean. I went into a house. The second I walked in the house, I felt like energy in there, and I'm like, oh man, like this is gonna be awkward. And so I'm like trying to clean the windows for this house. They were just moving, and so everything was all packed up. There's no pictures of anyone. The guy was just about to sell the house, and I felt like energy. And all of a sudden, I see it like it's like almost like a projection, like a slideshow. And I see a woman, but she looked like she was from the '60s. And I'm like, all right, all right. So I step outside the house because it was her energy was intense. And I call my sister. I was like, this guy's mother's here in this house, and she like wants me to like do a mediumship, but I don't want to freak them out. Like that's my biggest thing is I hate freaking people out. And so I was trying to do it in a safe way. And so she's following me all around the house in spirit. And she shows me there's a dresser drawer downstairs that if you pull it out all the way, she had some jewelry in there that she didn't want left behind. And like it was that detailed. And so I'm upstairs and like hearing this message, and the son, he was an older guy, he comes upstairs, and I was like, all right, I don't want to freak you out right now, but your mother's really bothering me. And he goes, my mother's dead. I'm like, yeah, I know she's dead. She looked like she's from the '60s, has brown curly hair. I was like, do you have any pictures of her so I can validate what she's showing me? He goes, no, they're all stored away, but yes, she has brown curly hair and she died in the '60s. And I was like, all right, so that makes sense. And I was like, well, she just wants to tell you that if you go downstairs in some bedroom, there's a dresser drawer, pull it out all the way because she has some jewelry that she doesn't want left behind to make sure you have. And he goes, that's really weird. I know exactly what you're talking about. And as soon as I said that, she disappeared. But I had no control over it. It just happened. And so, yeah, it leaves you on edge all the time being an energy worker and medium and all that. You never know when something's going to happen. And you just have to stay with an open heart and just don't
Every
be
day's
afraid.
a windy road.
Yeah. Just, I just don't show fear and show love. And like I pray to all the gods because I am not one to judge. So like I pray like when I put it out there, universe, I'm putting it out there to everyone and all races, all species, and just show love to the universe and hope it comes back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Eddie, I'd like to put in the chat room, how can people can connect with you? What would be the
So
best way?
I have a website, Enokianhealing.com, ENOKIAN healing.com. That's my business website. I don't do so much Twitter, but I am on Twitter. Enokian Healing on Facebook is my business site. And I have Eddie Enokian on regular Facebook. But I don't do so much social media, but I'm mostly a private person, but most shamans are. We live a quiet life, and I kind of just watch everything from the distance, and when I need to intervene, I intervene. But yeah, I've had plenty of opportunities to be out there, and I've thought about like wanting to like put myself out there more to people and everything, but it's just you got to be careful. My mother had a friend that actually was murdered because he knew too much, and
Yeah.
he said he met an extraterrestrial down in South America and had a lot of communication with him. And after that, he always felt like he was being followed. And he came up here, he started dating my mother. He wanted to move to Nova Scotia with her, and she refused. And he goes, I really think like there's somebody that's after me for the information that this extraterrestrial told me. And three days before he was actually gone, he like told my mom, he was like, if this happens, just mention so and so's name and see where it brings you. So 3 days go by, and he was a great guy, and he was found in his room with 10 stab wounds, his throat slit, his wrist slit, and like several stab wounds in the chest, and they ruled it a suicide. And so
Yeah.
the state police came to talk to my mother because it was my mom's boyfriend, and she was like, well, he did say that he thought somebody was out for him and to mention this person's name. And they researched a name, and he goes, oh no, that person doesn't exist, and kind of just shoved it away and like left it at that. And so like
Uh,
I do have to be careful.
Yeah.
And like, but I mean, I have nothing to hide. I'm a loving guy. I'm not. I don't have any agendas out there to harm anybody or anything. And so I
Yeah.
feel like if I just show love, there's nothing that can be done bad to me. So
Indeed. So 5 minutes to the show. I like to clear a bit of that negative energy. I like to keep everything in a positive light,
yes,
especially that. So we're going to need to do a little bit of clearing because I felt some energy moving to my heart right now. So
yeah,
let's just bring everything back to the prime creator from which we come from, and allowing ourselves to stand in the power that we carry within ourselves, that the power you carry, Jeff, the power you carry, the power I carry, and everyone on the planet. And I can see that all these old paradigms are being transmuting. That's where we are ascending from, and we're moving to a much more era of higher consciousness where we activating our light and also changing our mindset. What are we focusing on? Where our thoughts are dwelling the most on? What influence are you accepting and allowing to come into your mind, your energy field, your heart, that also influence sometime in a very subtle level, especially on the subconscious and the subconscious level and all of this. So it's always an invitation to be mindful in terms of, what is the message you convey and what energy is put out there. So we bring that back in terms of we are much more powerful. And the proof of it is that, like
yes,
yourself, Eddie, I've shared, attracting all kind of information, attentions, and ultimately we are being victorious on this earth. This is why we're here in
that's right.
physical incarnation. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here in physical incarnation. I myself have different experience in remote viewing when I saw the Secret Service around the president, and we told them that we were here to convey love and light and send out love frequency back to everyone. And then we came back into our secret space after the remote viewing, so that was interesting.
Nice.
So we have about 3 minutes left. Usually what we do a quick clearing to bring the energy of all the beauty and all the energy you share with us today. We are definitely grateful for your
Thank you.
time, your gift, or you're so welcome. And Jeff, thank you for bringing Eddie to the show. That was absolutely awesome. So if we would, everyone, just let's center ourselves back to our heart center, the place where your soul is, to going back into more activating your spiritual path, and especially where we are moving into the golden age. 2021, 2022 are two very pivotal years that are coming our way. So if you would just take some deep breath. This is what we call breathing with grace, with consciousness, allowing your sacred life force energy to flow organically and naturally through you and to you. You may feel the energy flowing to your spine, flowing into all of the inner vortexes of energy you carry, called chakra network, clearing the lower mind, uplifting your heart, allowing your heart center to blossom like lotus flower in the midst of ascension, allowing deeper soul memories to come to the surface to help you understand a fuller spectrum of who you are and what you've come to do. And to remember that collectively, we all have unique keys of light. And when we combine them, we open gateways because together we're far more stronger, far more powerful than we can ever be apart. So just breathe into your heart, into universal oneness, and release anything else that no longer serves. Clearing your body as clear conduit to hold higher frequency and to know ultimately that only love is the very fabric, the substance of all, and to let permeate every aspect of your being and your life for everyone and every sentient life form on this glorious planet. And so it is. You're welcome to open your eyes, return to your sacred space. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Felt that going through my body, like, whoo. Well, Eddie, there's so many thank yous in the chat room for you.
Awesome.
Excellent
Thank you.
podcast as always. Absolutely, Gina, much love. Simon, Victoria, very happy. Very awesome that you're here. Of course, Divine Fractal, Sharon also coming here, Joanna, and there's so many of you who have come today. We are very grateful that you are part of this great adventure together. Make sure you like us on YouTube and as
Yes.
well on Facebook. There's also the information for to find Eddie in the chat room. As for Jeff and I, we have also our website at the bottom of the screen, whether it's to the foundation, the Infinite Voice Project.org, and on my end, Infinite Healing from the Stars.com. Eddie, please come back to the show again. I
Definitely.
feel
Thank you.
right.
Yeah.
There's
No.
so much
Yeah,
more.
energy's charged. So yeah, I feel good.
Absolutely. You are all angels of light. We love you. And
Yes.
tune in for next Sunday, December 20th, right before, right at the junction of the winter solstice. We have our very special guest, Clifford Maudi, who come us back to the show. We're going to do a winter solstice special. It's going to be the last show of 2020, and we're coming back stronger, filled with more light and empowerment in 2021. So see you all next Sunday at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, many love, Eddie. Thank you so
Love you
much,
all.
my
Thank
friend.
you,
Thank you.
Eddie.
Jeff,
All right.
as always. See you next time.
Thanks.